Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Today, we're tackling someone who, well, kind of rewrote the rules of the game, Richard Dennis.
Oh, yeah. Not just a trader, but a guy who decided to prove a point. Could trading success be taught? Almost like it was a science.
That's what we're going to unpack. We have this amazing interview with Dennis where he talks about everything, starting with like 400 bucks to his name and then millions.
It's a gold mine, this interview. Early days on the floor, how we saw the market, and of course, the turtles. Can't forget the turtles.
Okay, so imagine you're young, making minimum wage, barely getting by. Would you risk your cash in the market?
Probably not, right? But Dennis, even at that age, he was different. Summer job, runner on the exchange floor. Instead of just watching, he took the plunge.
Seriously. Trading on a $40 a week paycheck, that's dot bold.
He even admitted later he didn't have a clue what he was doing. But he saw it as a way to learn. He had this quote, "The advantage was that at least I got to do it with small amounts of money." Very smart, right?
Risk management from day one. But there's a twist. He wasn't even old enough to trade.
True. His dad had to execute the trades for him till he was 21. Can you picture that? Hey, Dad, can you buy me some corn futures?
I can't even imagine. Okay, but this is where it gets interesting. This is where the whole go with the trend thing comes in. 1970 corn blight.
Boom. Dennis, early 20s at this point, sees the market signals, goes long on corn, wheat, the whole shebang right before the news breaks. That trade, it made him serious money.
Right place, right time. Some might say luck.
Maybe. But he saw the trend, acted on it, and then held on tight even when things got shaky. That's the lesson right there.
Totally. But then Dennis does the unexpected. He's got this profit, but he decides to go to grad school.
So why? You're on a roll, making bank. Back to the classroom.
Right. But the market, it pulled him back in. 1 week at Tulane, and he's spending all his time and laundromat money calling trades back to Chicago.
That's dedication. So he drops out, goes all in on trading. But even with the early wins, there were losses. He talked about this one trade. Wiped out a third of his capital in a single day.
Ouch. That's gotta hurt, especially early on.
It was the turning point for him. He said, and I love this, get out, go home, take a nap, do something, but put a little time between that and your next decision.
Don't let emotions rule your trades.
Exactly. That loss, he called it one of his best trades. Why? Taught him to manage those emotions. Don't let fear or greed take over. Discipline. That's what he learned.
He turned a loss into a win, basically. It's about bouncing back, learning from those setbacks. So then Dennis starts to shift, moving from the floor to off-floor trading.
New markets, emerging currencies, interest rates, gold. He saw the potential there.
Always adapting, spotting new opportunities. But going off the floor, that came with its own challenges, didn't it?
Big time. He realized those quick in-and-out trades that worked on the floor. Not so much in these new markets. Longer game now.
Hard to shift gears like that, from fast-paced action to a longer-term view.
Right. But he took it on. Refined his approach, focus on the bigger trends, managing risk over time. And this brings us to, well, the main event. The turtle experiment.
The stuff of legends. He wanted to prove anyone could learn this. Be a successful trader, zero experience necessary, almost hard to believe.
But that was Dennis. He had this back and forth with his partner. Are trading skills innate, or can they be taught? The experiment was the answer.
Okay, I gotta know. Tell me about these turtles.
Ads in the paper, interviews, hundreds of applicants. He chose a group, no trading background whatsoever. Called them turtles after a trip to a turtle farm in Singapore. He thought he could grow traders just like they grow turtles.
And he was going to teach them his methods, the secret sauce.
2 weeks, total immersion. Systematic, rule-based trading, identifying trends, managing risk, and the big one, staying disciplined.
So did it work? Did these regular folks, these turtles, actually become successful traders?
The results were mind-blowing. The turtles, using a system, averaged about 100% profit a year.
Wait, 100%? That's nuts. So he proved his point. Trading can be taught.
He did. He even said, it's frightening how well it worked.
That changes everything. It's not about some magical intuition or talent. With the right system, the discipline, anyone could do this.
Process over intuition. But the turtle story, it's just one chapter in Dennis's life. We've got more to dig into.
Oh, yeah. Next time, we're going deeper. Later career, his view on the market, and this surprising take he had on luck. Stick with us. We're just getting started. Okay, so we've talked about the early wins, the turtles, but what always gets me is the mental side of trading. especially when you're dealing with, millions of dollars. How do you not freak out?
Dennis was all about taking emotion out of it. Like, he
Yeah.
really lived it. Trading was a process, a numbers game, some wins, some losses. That's just how it goes.
So a losing trade, it didn't make him question everything, doubt his system?
Nope. He believed in it, understood
Wow.
losses are part of the deal, didn't take it personally.
Did he have any, techniques for managing those emotions? It's easy to say stay calm, but when your money's on the line,
Perspective, that was key. He'd remind himself, there's more to life than this. And he'd walk away. Take a break when things got rough. Remember that quote, lost a third of his capital. Go home, take a nap, get some distance.
sometimes you got to step back, see the bigger picture.
100%. And Dennis, he was a master at that. Long game focus, not getting hung up on each individual trade.
It all circles back to learning from mistakes. He didn't just ignore the losses, right? He studied them, figured out what went wrong, how to improve.
Constantly refining,
Yeah.
tweaking his systems based on the market, his own notes, not afraid to say, hey, I messed up, adjust as needed.
A lot of new traders, they want to be right every time. Dennis knew it was about adapting, learning from both the good and the bad trades.
Which brings us to this whole luck thing. Fascinating how we saw it. Individual trades. Maybe luck played a part. Long-term success. Absolutely not.
Some people might say he was just lucky, right place, right time, but he disagreed.
Skill, discipline, a solid system. He even said, I don't think anybody winds up making money in this business because they started out lucky.
So forget the get-rich-quick schemes. It's about having a strong foundation, a system you can trust, the discipline to stick with it, even when it's tough.
Work ethic, consistency, commitment to learning. That's what drives success, not some external force like luck.
Okay, so let's dive into his strategies. We know he did both, right? Discretionary trading and systems trading. How did he make that work?
He thought even the smartest traders, they often didn't have a system for analyzing their trades. Like, they'd win, but couldn't explain why or how to repeat it.
Relying on gut feeling, intuition, which isn't always reliable.
Exactly. Dennis was all about breaking things down, looking for patterns, refining his systems, understanding the markets.
Almost like building trading algorithms before algorithms were a thing, taking out the human emotion.
That's it. He wanted to make it objective, reduce the chance of error.
So where did he stand on the whole technical analysis versus fundamental analysis debate?
He thought both mattered. But he had this interesting take, especially with commodities. Not enough fundamental info to really drive the big trends.
So technical analysis, the charts, the indicators, that became crucial for spotting those trends.
He was like a code breaker, reading the market signals, those tiny shifts that meant a trade was coming.
And this is where those famous trend-following systems come in. Spot the trend early, ride it out till it changes direction.
He even said he could trade any market. Didn't even need to know the name. The patterns, they were that similar.
Beans, bonds, currencies, same underlying patterns.
But he also said, not all markets are the same. Stocks, for example, different beast altogether.
How so?
Too much noise. Too random. Made it harder to find those clear, long-lasting trends his systems needed.
So his approach, it worked best where those trends were strong, not influenced by, what one company does.
Right. Now, one thing Dennis didn't shy away from, controversy, his views on program trading. Late 80s, everyone blaming it for market crashes, volatility.
He was defending something that a lot of people saw as dangerous.
He went to bat for it, big time. Called the critics scapegoats for a declining market. He thought program trading, yeah, it moves the market, but not a systematically bad way.
Don't blame the tool, blame the user.
Exactly. He even argued program trading created more opportunities for the smart investors, the ones who understood it.
He saw potential where others saw fear, not afraid to go against what everyone else thought.
That independent thinking, it went beyond the markets. He was outspoken about his politics, even though, well, his political track record wasn't as good as his trading one.
Multi-millionaire supporting higher taxes for the wealthy. That's not something you see every day. Success doesn't always fit a neat little box.
Absolutely. And another thing, he was worried about the federal budget deficit, even back then. He said, we will be at record levels of inflation by the end of 1990.
Was he right?
Inflation went up, but not to record levels. But his reasoning is what's interesting. Deficit leads to higher interest rates. Government has to stimulate the economy. Then inflation takes off.
Like a domino effect. He saw the connections, how one thing leads to another, could predict the consequences.
He was a systems thinker, not just in trading, but in how he saw the world. Remember, he said he could trade any market without knowing the name because the patterns were so similar. I think he applied that to the economy, too.
That's a great point. Big picture thinking, seeing those underlying forces that move markets and economies. Which leads us to the question, what can we learn from Richard Dennis? What are the takeaways, even if we're not all trying to be master traders?
That's a great question, and that's what we'll dive into in the final part. Some thought-provoking questions to, help you apply these lessons to your own life.
All right, everybody, get ready for the grand finale. All right, we've explored a lot about Richard Dennis, from his early days to the turtles and his thoughts on the market. What are the big takeaways here? What can we learn from him, even if we're not all going to be, master traders?
What really stands out for me is how much of his trading philosophy. It's not just about trading. Discipline, having a system, constantly learning, that's valuable anywhere.
He kind of cracked the code, not just for trading, but for like succeeding at anything. It's about having that process, that system to reach your goals.
Right, and not just winging it, going with your gut. He was analytical,
Yeah.
always testing, refining, adapting based on what the market was telling him.
And he bounced back. Remember, losing a third of his capital, that could crush someone, but Dennis, he turned it into a lesson.
He even said, I think, that loss was one of his best trades because it taught him emotional control. Don't chase losses.
Mental toughness.
Yeah.
Stick to the system, even when it's rough. Don't let fear or greed drive your decisions.
Exactly. And it ties back to what we talked about with luck. Sure, maybe it plays a part in some moments, but long term, no way.
He wasn't saying chance doesn't exist. He was saying skill, discipline, a solid system, that's what wins in the end.
And that's true for anything, right? It's not about waiting for that one lucky break. Put in the work, develop your skills, have a plan.
So it goes beyond just trading tips or market tricks. It's a mindset, a way to face challenges, achieve your goals, whatever they are.
I love that. Dennis's story is all about discipline, always learning, always pushing yourself to get better.
And he didn't mind going against the grain, defending program trading when everyone else was bashing it, for example.
He saw potential where others were afraid. Not afraid to disagree, to form his own opinions.
That independent thinking, that's something we should all aim for. Question what people tell you, be open to new ideas, don't just follow the crowd.
Think for yourself. Form your own conclusions, even if it means disagreeing with everyone else. So as we wrap up our deep dive into Richard Dennis, maybe we can leave our listeners with some food for thought.
I like that. Get them thinking about how this applies to their lives.
What are some areas where you might be relying too much on intuition or, getting emotional? Where could a more systematic approach, some rules, some structure, actually help you?
Love that. And something else Demis talked about, staying detached from the outcome. Focus on the process, not just the results. How can you apply that to your own life, right?
It's not letting those setbacks get you down. Keep believing in your system, your process. Because over time, that consistent effort, that dedication to learning, that's what leads to success.
It's a different way of thinking. Focus on what you can control, your actions, your effort, not the ups and downs, the wins and losses. And remember what Dennis said about the budget deficit. It was a warning. Pay attention to what's happening in the economy, understand how government policies can impact you, and make smart choices for your own financial future.
The learning never stops, right? Keep digging, keep asking questions, keep expanding your knowledge.
This has been a fantastic deep dive. So much to learn from Richard Dennis. Keep exploring these ideas, keep learning, keep growing, and maybe, just maybe, apply a little bit of his wisdom to your own life. We'll see you on the next deep dive.